little bit, and we're going to do our first bit here. Big thing happened during our break. Queen Elizabeth died,
Oh,
and that was all of that happened across a 24-hour period. It was really kind of interesting, actually. Clyde, you keyed me in on it. You sent me a Twitter link and said, "Hey, I think the Queen is sick. They're talking about this." And I mean, it really wasn't a couple of hours later when they
yeah,
announced that she passed.
absolutely. Yeah, it was. And what was weird is that the week before, she did a, her duty to welcome and officially approve the new prime minister. And I looked at the photo and I said, "Oh, she is not long for this world."
Oh,
Because her photo was, she was dramatically thinner and more frail than she was the last time I saw her. And it's the kind of thing that you just know when you reach a certain age, you can start to go, "Oh, that's the bad weight loss." Yeah.
oh, right, yes. That is one of the key indicators that you're getting near the end is eating ends up trailing way off. So that's how that's how you'll know for me. But anyway, thinking back on it, it got me to thinking about, yeah, for some reason this country has a big fascination with royalty, and we think of them in a different way than they think about their own monarchy. But it got me thinking, back in the 80s. I don't know, Russ, whether or not you did, but I had several friends who got up super early to see Charles and Diana get married. We got this big fascination. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, and I was actually in the mountain time zone at the time, so I had to get up 2 hours earlier than you to watch it. It was like four
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I had a little black and white TV, and got up early and watched it. And I was the only one that got up and watched it. No one else in the house did. But yeah, I remember that.
How
I
about you,
always thought
Clyde?
that he looked way older than her.
Uh, I mean, wasn't he though? Wasn't he a decade older than Diana? She was pretty young. We should.
Probably.
Maybe wasn't she like 19 at the time?
She was pretty
He
young.
had he was in his 20s, I think, late 20s,
Let's
because I
see.
think he was born in the early 50s.
We can say Charles and Diana. We can do a real quick search for it.
If
Charles
only
and
there were a magic box that contains answers.
I know. Isn't that absolutely insane? So it happened actually, it was in 1981. And let's see if we can tell us what. Anyway, while we're looking through that, they made it through 15 years of marriage. So, I don't think too much about it, but I mean, she had been queen for just a tremendously long time. What was it, 70, 71 years?
Yeah, something like that. 53, I think, is when she was coronated.
And
I started watching The Crown, so I'm like an expert now of all this early Queen lore.
yeah, I should have been up a little bit more on it, but yeah, for some reason it just seemed like a weird fascination people had with it. Although I did think that Diana got constantly hounded. I think in ways, that I guess any of the women that marry into that family would probably all get to a certain degree. Although I'm trying to think, did Fergie get a lot of that? I think she did.
She got a lot of crap for her dump truck ass.
And her red hair, because for some reason in the UK, they hate red hair. Like it goes back
I don't
what,
get it either.
centuries, and like the whole idea of the ginger, and I mean they get brutalized in school just for having red hair, and I'm pretty sure it's the Irish thing, just good old fashioned bigotry, but
Uh,
that's I mean coming from a country that brought bigotry to new heights because of skin tone, we can't really say that their bigotry was stupid because it's based on red hair, you know.
well, I don't know. I'm sure there's something mystical. Makes me think a lot about the Lord of the Rings stuff, but we'll digress into that a little bit later.
No,
But
they're demons, or
they're
Oh
they're
yeah,
possessed by demons. Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
yeah,
I did hear this, and I can't remember where I heard it from, but supposedly the deep dark secret with the monarchy is that King or Prince Charles had an affair with Camilla before he got married, and they had an illegitimate son together. I
Ooh.
believe that ended up working at the palace in some capacity, and but it was like kind of an unspoken secret that everyone knew about.
Well, I know that they had I feel like they had a relationship before Diana, and that
Yeah, they knew each other for a long time. I mean, that was the whole thing. Is that wasn't this mostly an arranged marriage anyway? And didn't he date Camilla?
I feel like it.
Normally, arranged marriages are between like royalty. They're
Right.
merging houses together, and Princess Diana was a commoner, so I don't understand. I don't know enough about it to say one way or the other, but it doesn't seem like your
Well,
normal
she was
circumstance for an
nobility.
arranged
She was
marriage.
low nobility.
Oh, well, maybe.
I
Or
mean, the Spencers. I'm
someone
on
look that up, stat.
her.
But yeah, I mean, Queen Elizabeth, known for putting her hands, getting them dirty, working on vehicles. You can see lots of photos of her pitching in on farms. She would spend time back home up with apocryphal stories of people being able to walk right up to her and talk to her when she was
That
back.
hair, that hair defined the 80s.
It's a non sequitur. What
Well,
hair?
no, I mean,
He
Oh,
he's
her.
talking about the Princess Diana.
Oh, Princess Diana. Yeah, well, I was actually referring to the
oh, you
Queen.
went back to the Queen. Okay.
Yeah, to the
Yeah.
Queen. Yeah, for Diana, I'm not sure. She always seemed kind of a preppy, prep school girl in the way that she did everything, and yeah, the press
You
is
talked
brutal.
about
But I don't know. When I think about going back to the '80s, and I think about how I thought of the monarchy. Most of what we knew of the monarchy, and mostly what we knew about the whole family, was Schoolhouse Rock. I think back on all the all how much we beat up on them as we taught American history. So I never really thought about it. But when went over there to visit for what was it, 12 to 14 days back in 2000. Hold on one second. I've got some audio going on in the background. We will definitely edit all of that out. So, all right, we'll go 3, 2, 1. When I think back to the '80s and what I really thought about it, I think about everything I knew was from Schoolhouse Rock, and um, so very precious little, whatever can fit into a song. So, but don't they have some sort of sway over Canada? Doesn't Canada have a relationship through the monarchy?
Yes. I don't know the capacity of it. But they're like, I think it's like an informed consent sort of thing that every time they change uh, the prime minister, they have to sit with the queen. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, so just little things like that you don't seem to know about. You don't realize what island nations. I think that the first time I became aware of it was the Falkland Islands with that whole conflict down there. I mean, that's way back into my memory, and just wondering why are these people fighting over this tiny island? Well, what's there to be gained from it? But I think it was probably my trip there in 2000 where I finally got a chance to go over and realize just how derivative a lot of American culture is. We've been influenced quite a bit by British culture and British fascination. And you can go over there, you can get a lot of American products over there. So you can choose to go over and feel like you're in America. But even still, everything just feels kind of familiar. It feels like being in a Doctor Who episode or spending the whole day on public television. So
Did you have any spotted dick while you were there?
I did not. But everybody, the people I was with, they did a lot of sampling of the local dishes. But at the
you didn't
time,
sample your dick while you were over there.
no, no. Oh, we were staying in Bath one night. We were staying at the castle over the Rose or Rose Castle. It was a family that had a B&B inside of an old castle, and the rest of the falling down part. And it was right down from a little village where they had a restaurant that they had arranged to keep open, because we were so late the first night we got there that the second when we got back the second day, he had arranged for us to have most of the restaurant to ourselves. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but he says, I arranged for them to stay open and try to serve you. And so we got to spend some time in a nice British like really small restaurant, like in the basement of some place. And my brother-in-law ate a bunch of whitebait, I think is what it's called. They look like sardines, but he ate this huge plate of them, like a mound of these little tiny white fishes. They sampled lots of seafood, obviously.
Did that affect him?
Very much so. Very much so. I
Did
can't.
did he run to the bathroom?
No, it was the next day. We all paid for it because we were all
Okay.
crammed into one of those tall Sprinter vans that you see. And with my father-in-law driving on those little tiny roads as we were going all throughout the area, yeah, he got sick. We had to pull over, and the toilets are not the same over there, or at least they weren't back then. You could actually find something that looked very similar to a hole in the ground with like a big cone sticking up, and you had to sit on it. Very different. But as far as the monarchy goes, though, I'm trying to think about it, just seeing how it's going to be changing here going forward. We've known this, we've known him for so long, and Charles has just been so adamant about wanting to sit on the throne. Have you guys given it any thought as to what kind of ruler he may be, just knowing what you know about him? Because we've all grown up with him being in the news.
Nothing. I know
I've
nothing.
heard rumors that he's like a little prima donna, like
He's
demanding
fussy pants.
asshole
I've
with
seen
sausage
video of him,
fingers.
and he's like the epitome of the fussy pants, hoity-toity governor. Hey,
Yeah.
governor, you know.
I mean, that's the thing it seems like, is that he desperately wants the monarchy. He's not like, it's probably going to fall to me, it'll be a heavy crown. Didn't even pretend that he didn't want it. And he's kind of that, at least he's a little bit older, but if he lives as long as his mother, he won't sit on the throne but for 20 years, 23 years tops. And then you'll get William, who will be in his 40s or early 50s when he takes over. I think at that point they'll probably dissolve the monarchy, or
I was
really
about to
step down.
say, I don't even know if they'll have the monarchy by then.
I think he said that he would do something to de-emphasize the monarchy.
The monarchy is so part of like English culture. I don't see that ever happening.
But maybe it
I think
reduces
that
to
they're
more
always going to have
pageantry.
it. Well, that's kind of all it is now. I mean, they're not really running things. It's more of a figurehead position.
I wonder if they'll just
Um,
sort of trim some of the pageantry off of the edges bit by bit. I don't know. It's not like America has pageantry at all. So I don't know. Thinking a little bit more about it, because America is like that one of those countries that managed to break away, along with India and a handful of others. The British Empire, the sun never sets on the British Empire. That's obviously not true anymore, and they've become still a world power, but more of a measured, I don't know, middle tier world power. So I'm not really sure how much longer they would hold on to it, but at any given moment, I guess we could get de-emphasized too. So it's just kind of a weird sort of time in American history as some of the last of the great leaders are passing away.
She was the queen because she's been around for so long. My view of her is of the same short, matronly, gray-haired woman with that, um, standard matronly queen hair. And so much so that, there were people that made careers out of impersonating her, in the
Oh
Naked
yeah.
Gun movie and all these other skits. There's, uh, it's the same person. She wasn't that difficult to impersonate because, with the hair and the dress and the height, anyone could dress up like her. You'd be like, oh, the queen. So, I've just got one memory of her, and it's a never changing memory. It's the same person. Um,
She has a definitive style.
that's why I keep a beard so I don't get mistaken for the queen.
And that's good. And that's good. That or Elvis. Because Elvis also has that same sort of style that you can, doesn't matter how bad you are at it, you can dress up like him and
That's
everybody
right.
knows you're
He
Elvis.
has that style because he never died.
Thank you very much.